Oh, it's Petra Predictions. Before I start, I just wanted to say that these groups were very difficult to predict. It's looking really competitive this round, and I genuinely think the standard of Asian football is increasing like we saw in that Asian Cup last time around. For Group A, though, I do actually see Qatar and Uzbekistan qualifying directly to the World Cup, and then Iran and UAE reaching the next round to that playoff stage. It is a surprise to me not seeing Iran qualify directly, but I just not really feeling their squad. They don't seem that cohesive. They're still really defensive even when they're against those kinds of lower caliber teams they're expected to beat kind of thing. I'm not convinced by their style of play either. And they are an Asian squad as well. They really need to be tested now, mixing it up a bit for the future really. And for Qatar, they have proven they're one of the top sides in Asia now. Like they know how to get results even when not playing well. They know how to put games to bed. They can come back as well. So they're just really a force to be reckoned with in Asia now. Uzbekistan, I feel like this team is more attack-minded, and this is what we want. And they showed this attack-mindedness in the qualifiers and in the Asian Cup. And they're quite a young squad as well, so they're willing to experiment. And again, just more and more experience for this young squad. And we saw with Iran in the last round, they were 2-0 up against Uzbekistan, and they lost that lead. That's pretty bad, actually, when you think of it, a 2-0 lead as well. And for UAE, I feel like they're quite unpredictable. You're not really sure what they're going to get. But I think they will trip up the other three teams. They're definitely going to be taking points. And UAE could really be the decider of who qualifies directly and whatnot. But that's why I see them kind of coming in fourth, UAE, as the other three teams just have more quality. For Kyrgyzstan and North Korea, I just don't see it. The other four teams have far more quality. I'm just quite interested because this is qualifiers and it's a 10-game period. I'm just wondering how well Qatar will be able to keep up that pace over 10 games against much higher caliber teams. Having said that, though, Uzbekistan do drop points against lower caliber teams, so not sure how that will pan out. But still, Uzbekistan have notoriously, for time and time again, been close to qualifying for a World Cup, but always fell short. And with the spaces increasing now, I do see Uzbekistan qualifying for their debut World Cup this time round. Group B, for the proximity and travel time, they're all near each other, the nations, apart from South Korea. Only one, damn it, South Korea. But otherwise, this group is particularly interesting as one of the nations in this group is either going to be making their debut or is going to be Iraq, who hasn't qualified for a World Cup for 40 odd years. So very interesting like that for what's at stake in this group. Though my predictions, I see Iraq and South Korea qualifying directly for the World Cup, and then Jordan and Palestine qualifying for that another playoff round. South Korea has been unconvincing lately, but they do have a lot of quality in their squad, and at the end of the day, it's World Cup qualifiers, and they've qualified for the past 10 consecutive World Cups. I don't think they're going to miss it out, but they'll be really tested in this evenly tested group, and I could see Iraq or someone else topping the group and South Korea coming second. And there's two major managerial changes in their group. South Korea's changed their manager and Jordan has changed their manager. Amuta has left, unfortunately, for personal reasons. What will this mean for Jordan, though? And can Slalami qualify Jordan for their first ever World Cup? I actually think Iraq and Jordan are very evenly matched. Maybe Jordan's better in like all departments of the field, whereas for Iraq, it's really their attack that gets them going. But Iraq is that team that when they win convincingly against teams lower than them, they do put their games to bed. They know how to finish games off really well. Whereas Jordan, with a new manager, even South Korea, can trip up, and that's why I think Iraq will qualify. It will be their consistency against the lower teams. And Iraq have a really good blend of youth and experience in their squad, which I think will benefit them. And for the other teams in the group, I think Palestine has more oomph compared to Kuwait and Oman, and that's why I see them coming fourth. But Palestine, Oman, I think they will determine the outcome of the group, as the other nations could trip up to them. And Kuwait, I feel like it's a stretch too far for them this time round. And finally, Group C. Wow, what an absolute group of death. These three nations, Japan, Australia, Saudi, have met each other for the third consecutive World Cup qualifiers at this stage as well. My predictions for this is that Japan and Saudi Arabia will qualify directly for the World Cup, and then Australia and Bahrain go into that playoff fourth round. To be honest, Saudi Arabia hasn't been that good in football that recently, but I do see them starting to finally click under Mancini's like fast tactical kind of football. And for Australia, they weren't tested in the last round at all. And I'm not sure how Australia's like brute physicality, that aspect of the game, will be against a much tactically astute, better side of Japan and Saudi Arabia. As for the other teams in Group C, not gonna lie, Bahrain is the best of the rest. Maaf Indonesia, Djibouti, Jongo, but it's just too soon of a test for the other teams. Though this is incredible experience for this young Indonesian squad to be playing in this kind of qualifying round, 10 consecutive games against the top teams in Asia, and this will only be good for Indonesia's football in future. They keep on getting to these rounds. Regardless of the results, I'm always going to be rooting for Indonesia, as my wife and in-law are from there. Garuda di dadaku, Garuda kebaangganku. I believe it's something on the lines of that. Within 10 match games though, what's really important is defences. And let's not lie, Indonesia's defence does capitulate pretty often. Even China's defence is better, and I think this is where Bahrain will be able to excel. And I genuinely think Bahrain can get 0-0 draws against Saudi Arabia, Australia, and will be able to shape the outcome of the whole group, and I don't think China and Indonesia has that ability. If my predictions are correct, that leaves us with quite a strong round 4 in the Asian qualifiers, with teams like Iran, Australia, UAE, Jordan, and of course I can't predict it because the draw hasn't been done, but for me I feel like team of Jordan and Iran would be able to qualify directly to the World Cup. With Australia, I'm just not feeling it with them. I still don't feel like their adaptability is that good when it comes to game plans. And UAE, again, like I said before, just a bit inconsistent. So there you have my predictions for the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers, Asia round 3. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know what your predictions for this round is. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Indonesia Raya Merdeka, Merdeka, Tanahku, Negriku yang ku cinta.